What is up, guys? Today I'm going to be recapping week 6 of the college football season. We are quite literally almost halfway through the regular season of college football, which is absolutely insane. After 6 weeks, the top two teams in the preseason AP poll are both unranked after losses this past week. Florida State resurges into the top 10, almost the top 5, but then they've lost their last two. Kansas State with a disastrous start. Ole Miss, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M, the top three teams in the SEC, and so many more things that have happened that we would never have guessed at the beginning of the season, but here they are. So, without further ado, let's get into some game recaps. The morning slate, probably the least exciting of the three slates, but still some good games nonetheless. The main headliner, or at least it turned out to be that way, was Iowa State and Cincinnati. Man, what a start to the game for the Bearcats. They jumped out to a 31-7 lead. Here's a little stat for you guys. Iowa State, before this game, had let up 21-7, 13, 16, and 14. They let up 31 here in the first half. They only let up 7 in the second half, so it only turned out to be 38 points in total, but still very impressive by Brendan Sorsby and this Bearcat offense nonetheless. Iowa State tries to fight back in the game, and they get a possession at the end of the game that tries to tie it up, and a last ditch effort on the last play of the game, and then the one of the most intriguing plays of the entire college football day, in my opinion at least, was the last play of that game when Gabe Burkle, after a couple of laterals from his Iowa State teammates, gets the ball, runs about 10 yards up the sideline, and then just steps out of bounds when the clock was at that point at 0 seconds for the past 5 seconds. Uh, Very interesting play. Just looked like he gave up at the end there for no reason. Truly, you never know what's going on in these guys' heads during, like end of game situations and whatever else. There are certainly a lot of factors that can affect that decision and affect his decision making in those moments. So, definitely not saying it's, not a stressful situation or not a difficult decision. It definitely was, but didn't look good to the unaided eye, if you will. So, Cincinnati with a big win there. The Bearcats have been slowly climbing up the, I guess not the ranks, but now they are getting some votes, actually. But they lost week 1 in Kansas City against Nebraska by 3, and then they've won every one since then, which has included Kansas on the road and Iowa State at home. Both of those games, they've put up 37 and 38 points. They've only been held under 34 points one time this season, which was the first game, Nebraska, when it seemed like everybody's offense was struggling, even those who are among the best in college football now. So, props to Cincinnati, man. That was probably arguably their biggest win since Scott Satterfield has taken over there as head coach. So they win 38-30. The Cyclones drop down from 14 to 22. They've got a couple of tough games still remaining. They have BYU coming to town in a few weeks. They have Arizona State at home as well. They have to go to TCU, home against Kansas. So some tough games coming up for the Cyclones, but we'll see how Matt Campbell and company, wow, Matt Campbell and company respond to that adversity. Then we moved into the afternoon slate, and my goodness, what a slate that was. Penn State and Texas both losing road games to teams with 3 or 4 losses. Now, Florida is, 3 good losses. They've lost to USF, who has only lost to Miami. By the way, Friday night or tomorrow night at the time I'm recording this, if you're not doing anything, watch USF North Texas because it is probably a CFP contention game. May not be, winner of that game goes to the CFP necessarily, but it could have a role in that. Those are 2 solid teams. North Texas with one of the better offenses, certainly in the group of 5, behind a walk-on quarterback who I saw some story about him, Drew Mestemaker. His first start at the QB position in last year's bowl game against Texas State is who it was. I don't know how I remember that. He made his first start in last year's bowl game at QB since his freshman year of high school. He didn't even start at QB for his sophomore through senior years at high school, wherever he was. I don't know what the circumstances were or anything, but that head coach there, Eric Morris, he definitely knows how to run an offense around a solid QB. Chandler Morris was there last year. He was at Incarnate Word and Washington State. I think he head coached Incarnate Word and then went to be the offensive coordinator at Wazoo when Cam Ward went there, and obviously now look where he is. So Eric Morris knows what he's doing with an offense. There are a few guys like that in the group of 5 who are just offensive masterminds. Wherever they go, it seems like good offense and good QB play follows them. So, great game tomorrow night. USF, North Texas, sold out stadium. Whatever their stadium's called, I don't know, to be honest. But, anyways, moving on. So, back to Florida where we were. Florida's lost to USF, Miami, and LSU. Obviously, 3 very, very solid losses. They come back home for the first time since that USF game in week 2. They have Texas on the road, their first SEC road game of the year. First SEC road game for Arch Manning, at least as a starter. And he kind of stinks up the place, to be honest. Looking at the stat line here, 16 of 29, not horrible, 263 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 2 costly interceptions, I might add. Some of those, the 2 interceptions and the incompletions throughout the course of the game, not very pretty throws, certainly. He made a couple of good throws throughout the course of the game, but certainly not enough to get past DJ Lagway. It's very concerning when DJ Lagway kind of outplays you and ultimately beats you in a game, and you were this supposed Heisman front runner at the beginning of the season. I mean, I guess both of them were, and what do we know, or what does DraftKings know or anything. I saw somewhere someone posted Florida, according to some betting site, are now the front runners to win the SEC. Where? What? I don't know. I don't know what Florida team they're watching. I mean, all things considered, I honestly, I kind of shudder to think that, Arch Manning, after playing well against UL Monroe and UTSA last year, was thrown into the Heisman conversations. I feel like we've never seen that before, and clearly we can now say there is definitely some last name bias in that case. So Florida gets a big second win of the year. And in all of this, I guess one of the bigger takeaways, Billy Napier on the hot seat is like Nick Saban. I mean, if that makes any sense at all, I don't know if it did, but he has won some big games when people are calling for his job and his position down in Gainesville. So, Sunbelt Billy proving him wrong on the hot seat again. 29-21, the final score there. Penn State. I don't know what to say, to be honest. Penn State, that was horrible. I'm not going to lie. 27-7 at halftime. 27-7 against a team who had never led entering that game. They had never led at any point in any game so far this season against competition like New Mexico and Northwestern. Really? I don't, I mean, it's, I don't, I got nothing. Like, Penn State lost. That, this is, this just boggles my mind how they were number 2 in the country like 3 weeks ago, and they literally just lost to UCLA. I mean, they still have, if you look at the schedule, Iowa on the road, which is a nightmare situation for, I was going to say any top 25 team, but clearly now they're not. Ohio State on the road, Indiana at home, Nebraska at home as well. If they drop a couple of those games, I wonder how long James Franklin sticks around. I don't know. I guess he was just getting sick of the narrative that they couldn't win big games, and so he just decided to mess around and lose to an 0-4 team with a relatively new head coach and a completely new offensive coordinator who had just flown into LA 3 or 4 days before the game. So, like, now what? Now what are you going to say? Penn State's best win of the season remains to be FIU, which, I guess that is precisely the case as to why they are not in the ranks anymore. So they have Northwestern at home this Saturday, 2:30. Homecoming for the Nittany Lions. So I guess you could say it's an attempt to save all dignity and respect within that program. We'll see if they can hold on there against the mighty Wildcats of Northwestern. Sarcasm intended. Moving on, final one of this afternoon slate, we had a Vanderbilt team looking for bowl eligibility 6 weeks into the season against Alabama. Close game at first. Vanderbilt broke off some big offensive plays, a 65-yard touchdown run by Cedric Alexander to kick off the scoring. They led 7-0, they led 14-7, but the offense ultimately, for almost the entirety of the second half, just couldn't get much going at all. Here's the drives that they had: punt, interception, turnover on downs, and that's it. So I guess pretty long drives, mostly by Alabama, who had 3 field goals and then a touchdown with 17 seconds left. That is petty. That's foul. That's pretty foul. But solid win by the Tide. 23 unanswered points against a ranked Vanderbilt team. Certainly nothing to look over. So nice win for them. They move to 4-1, and they have a very intriguing game on Saturday against Mizzou. Got a couple of very intriguing games coming up with Mizzou on the road, Tennessee at home, South Carolina on the road, LSU at home, Oklahoma at home. Those are all back-to-back weeks, maybe one bye in there, but that's it. So certainly no justice or no off weeks in the SEC, if you will, unless you're counting Eastern Illinois on November 22nd. But Tony Romo and Jimmy G went there, so anything can happen, I suppose. And then the final game here, arguably the most important one, Miami and Florida State. Here's what I'll say about this one. After the first drive, I thought, well, I'll tell you what I thought. I thought we were not going to be able to get the defense off the field at all. I mean, it looked like every run play they had, whether it was Gavin Sawchuk, whether it was the Danzy guy. I think he might be a wide receiver. Maybe I should have checked that. Chroma, any of those guys, they were all breaking off 8 to 10 yard runs like it was nothing consistently against our D line, and we were just getting no pushback on their offensive line. So I was definitely a bit nervous. I was glad that we got off the field with a field goal, and that turned out to be their only points until the fourth quarter. The offense took over with 4 touchdown drives in the span of the next 3 quarters of the game. Defense got 2 turnovers, a fumble, and an interception. We broke out the turnover chain 2 times at our house, since obviously we don't use it anymore on the field because it was a culture problem, whatever that means. I think I could be wrong, but I think the year that we got rid of the turnover chain to try to change the culture of the program and whatnot, we went 5-7 and missed a bowl game, including a loss to Middle Tennessee. So, like, where are the priorities? Anyways, I could go on. Yeah. So 28-3 after 3 quarters. We're 45 minutes in. We've got the ball. We're up 25. I'm thinking it kind of looking like the number 1 team in the country right now. Offense is driving at will. Defense making stops, making this Tommy Castellanos guy look like a doofus back there with everything he was saying about rushing the field again and whatnot. And we're up 28-3. Everything's great. Then the fourth quarter rolls along, and let me say this. I'm very happy that we won the game that we got out of Tallahassee with a win. 2 L's in Tallahassee for a reason. Anyways, it wasn't that funny. Yeah. All right. I'm very glad that we got the win. We got out of there. Minimal injuries, I think, on both sides. I don't know. I saw Mike Norvell in a press conference today. It looked like he had a black eye or something going on, so I don't know what's up with him, but I think minimal injuries for the most part on both teams. Great game. The fourth quarter made me experience levels of concern and doubt and distrust for the future of this team that I I have not felt since last year, to be precise. I don't know why Mario Cristobal, just all of the football knowledge neurons inside of his brain just switch off in like any late quarter, any just end of game situation, uh any one of those situations, whether it was the QB kneel from 2 years ago, or what we didn't do 2 years ago, I guess, and what he didn't do several years before that at Oregon that also lost him a game there against Stanford. Didn't QB kneel the ball, they fumble, Stanford goes down and scores, they win in OT. Only we lost in regulation, so it was even more of a rip of the Band-Aid, if you will. But I don't know why Mario Cristobal just doesn't. He just stops understanding basic principles and, like, rules of thumb in the game of football in the fourth quarter. We, as an offense, completely took our foot off the gas, foot off the pedal in the fourth quarter, and we just converted into a run up the middle. Running back stands there for like 2 seconds before running the ball up the middle for maybe 1 yard. And we did that again and again and again. Here are some of the drives towards the end of the game. Let's see. 4-yard run for Jordan Lyle. Pass complete for a loss of 2 yards. Incompletion. Punt. Florida State touchdown. 2-point conversion. The defense, by the way, in the fourth quarter was looking like last year's, which, if you've been around the Canes since last year, I don't need to explain it. Next drive, 2-yard run, 1-yard run, incompletion, punt, touchdown, 2-point conversion. It is a 9-point game. There is 3:22 left, and about 7 minutes ago, we were up by 25. What is happening? They go for an onside kick, I believe, and we get the ball. And this last drive caused me indescribable amounts of agony, pain, and suffering. 4th and 1 at the 30 with 3:02 to go. Florida State jumps off sides. We get a first down with 3 minutes to go. 2-yard loss on a run. Run up the middle for no gain. Run for 4 yards for Fletcher. 4th and 8. 1:12 to go. We are up by 9 points. We have a 41 yard field goal to go up by 12. 12 equals 2 touchdowns. 9 is a touchdown, extra point, and a field goal, and they win the game. We throw an incomplete pass on a drop-off pass that was horribly overthrown, or maybe Tony didn't run the route. Something went horribly wrong. We turned the ball over on downs. I don't understand. I could truly go on and on about this and just ramble saying the same stuff over and over again. Mario Cristobal is one of the best recruiters in the country. His game day coaching skills, in my personal opinion, his game day coaching skills, along with the rest of the staff, are mediocre, I'd say. Mediocre. You know how I know that? Here's another story that I could get into again. Take SMU. SMU last year had our offensive coordinator from a few years ago, Rhett Lashley. I think he was a wide receiver turned running back at SMU, Brashard Smith. Just turned into a gem for them. Transferred from Miami because he wasn't getting enough playing time. What was our record in 2023 when he wasn't getting enough playing time? 7-5. It was 7-5. Brashard Smith not getting enough playing time, but here we are in the what bowl game were we in that year? I have no idea. 2020, I actually the Pinstripe Bowl against Rutgers. Yeah, there you go. The Pinstripe Bowl. And we're not using Brashard Smith. But magically goes off for like an 800-yard rushing season the next year at SMU. They had their leading running back, a Miami transfer, their head coach, the offensive coordinator for the Canes a few years ago, several defensive players of theirs who were key players on that team transferred from Miami. What do they do in year one in the ACC? They go 8-0. What do we do with all this recruiting? We have the top recruiting class in the ACC. We have all these 5-stars. We have all the Miami kids coming home and wanting to represent for their city. We go 6-2 in conference, losing to Haynes King and Georgia Tech, and a coach who, to quote himself, only showers when he wins. I don't know. I could just rant about this on and on, but what I'm trying to circle back to, I guess, what I'm trying to circle back to, the point of this rant, the success of a college football team is partially determined by the skill of the players, the recruiting, the, just talent of the team, if you will. That's part of it, maybe. Most of where championships are won, most of where conference championships are won, is in the coaching. It is in how you can utilize the best players in the best situations to give your team the best pathway to success. That is why these scrappy teams like, Arizona State, maybe, SMU, they didn't have the most talented teams last year by any means. What they did have is coaches who knew how to use those players. They recruited guys, and they also used the transfer portal efficiently and effectively to fill the needs of their team and not just go spending money on talent that will only get you so far. I mean, Miami's problem, the offense was all there last year. The defense, I think we just neglected it last year maybe and just completely threw away one of the better offensive units in college football of this decade, in my personal opinion. But anyways, um, what I don't know. You guys are probably wondering where I'm going with this. I hardly know where I'm going, but back to Miami. I think great win, great win. The first 3 quarters, beautiful, amazing. I think the last, like, just the unawareness, I don't even know. The inability, whatever the words are, of our coaching staff to just make common football decisions, taking a knee when we have the win under our belts, not throwing incomplete passes when we want the clock to run, not running out of bounds when we want the clock to run, working with how many points we're leading by, how many points we're down, just stuff like that. We do the hard stuff so well, and then it's just the easy stuff, like those things that I just listed, that we just can't seem to figure out. Those late game situations and the situational awareness of the players and the coaches is something that needs to be ironed out and ironed out quickly, because I know we're not just going to blow everybody out of the water so that that is not an issue the whole rest of the season. No, there are going to be close games throughout the course of the season. We're going to need to make those decisions, make those right calls, and set the team best up for success. But anyways, that is the end of my senseless rant. I don't even know where that went or anything. Coming soon will be some sort of, I think, biggest surprises and or disappointments of the college football season so far. Maybe Heisman power rankings soon as well, and then I'll also put out my predictions for some of the biggest games for this upcoming weekend. Gonna be a good weekend of college football. Quite a few ranked matchups coming your way. So that is it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one.